4th grade, so I figured with our time apart that I would read aloud the book that I started with you guys in the library. I have a couple of special guests that are sitting with me. So this is Milo. It's about his nap time. And at the end of the story, I'll show you this grumpy Gus right here. But thank you, Milo. You'll probably see them moving around. I'm hoping that they join me for a lot of the read-alouds, so you'll get to know them better and you'll get to see part of my life and my home. So here we go. This is Mustaches for Maddie, and this is by Chad Morris and Shelley Brown. If you remember, this is a girl named Maddie who has cancer, and she's in school, and so she was, let me see. Yes, she is trying out for a play. Chapter 2, Poison-Tipped Swords, Yelling Matches, and Juliet. Okay, girls, Cassie said, leading us down the blacktop path around the school fields and away from Lexi. When we were younger, we played foursquare, tetherball, or tag at recess, but not anymore. Cassie said that she was more mature and just wanted to talk. We need to talk about the plays, Cassie continued. Her eyes grew bigger and she smiled wide. Everything was more exciting when Cassie talked about it. I just know they're going to be amazing this year. We all agreed. Almost every 6th grader looked forward to the Shakespeare unit in school. Not because we were super fancy pants kids, because we weren't, well, Cassie wore some pretty fancy pants, but that's not the same thing. We looked forward to the plays because we got to spend a month pretending and getting ready to put on a show. A real show, too, not a cheesy program. Each class did scenes from different plays. They were short, a couple of minutes long, but they had sword fights and yelling matches and funny bits. And we did it during the day for the whole school, and then at night for our parents. I watched it year after year, picking the different parts I would want. We'd already studied the plots of each play we could choose from, and Mrs. Bear talked about the characters we could pick. We were going to fill out our papers with our top 3 choices right after recess. Cassie surveyed all of us and then looked at Hannah. I think Hannah should be that fairy queen, she said. So definitely put that down as your first choice. Hannah nodded. I would love that. The fairy queen was in A Midsummer's Night's Dream. That sounded like a pretty fantastic part, but I wasn't sure Hannah remembered what happened in the play. The fairy queen has a spell put on her and falls in love with a guy with a donkey head. Yep, a donkey head. Hilarious, right? The only thing better would be a guy with a donkey head and a mustache. I choked down a laugh just thinking about it, but it would have been pretty funny if my he would have slipped out as a hee-haw, he. Get it? Donkey head? Hee-haw, he. Yeah, Cassie probably wouldn't have thought it was funny either. Good thing I kept that one to myself. In fact, Cassie said you might want to put that fairy queen down for all 3 choices. Then they'll know you really want it. Cassie turned to the rest of us. No one else put the fairy queen down as one of your 3 choices. That way Hannah will definitely get it. Everyone agreed, but Sailor nodded slower. I wanted to ask her if she wanted the part, but everyone was still listening to Cassie. And Yasmin, Cassie said, what should you be? Hero, Sarah suggested. Yep, there was a girl named Hero in one of the plays, but her name was seriously misleading. She wasn't actually a hero. She didn't sword fight a bad guy or lead soldiers into war or use magic to turn the villain's noggin into a donkey head with a mustache. She just looked pretty and was nice, and a guy fell in love with her. And when he was being a jerk, she pretended to be dead. That was it. Again, not really much of a hero. I was thinking of auditioning for Juliet, Yasmin said. I could tell from her eyes and bouncy walk that she was pretty excited about that part. A lot of the girls wanted to be Juliet. When the community theater closed down a few years ago, they gave the school a bunch of costumes. Juliet was the best costume and super pretty. A light blue dress, long and flowy with puffy leaves and a big sparkly necklace. Plus, she was the most famous part of all Shakespeare's plays. Everyone heard of her. Her lines were kind of lovey and she didn't say much that was funny, but it would still be really fun. No, Cassie said, shaking her head, I don't think Juliet's right for you. What about the nice sister in Taming of the Shrew? Bianca. She's pretty, and that one boy super wants to marry her. That part would be okay, but it wasn't Juliet. Why don't you think Yasmin should be Juliet? I asked. I think it's a great idea. I did think it would be a great idea. Yasmin was smart and could memorize her lines. Plus, she was probably good on stage. I mean, she was pretty fun when we walked home together. But like with Lexi, I didn't really ask even though I thought maybe I should. I don't know why. Sometimes I don't say what I think I should. One by one, Cassie went through the group, giving advice on what to write down. Sailor wanted Juliet too, but Cassie didn't think it was right for her either. We were passing the school again. We had walked around once and we were starting our second time. I saw Lexi sitting alone against the doors to the school, waiting for recess to be over. My heart flopped a little. Been there. Lots of times. I wished I would have said something about Lexi. Of course, it wouldn't have done much good. Cassie didn't always include everyone, but we all liked her, and she really could be nice. She was just picky sometimes. Maddie, Cassie said, do you know what part would be great for you? I took another deep breath. I had an idea, and I thought I'd try it. All I care about is that I get to rock a mustache, I said, and raised my pink mustache to my lip. I had been thinking up that line for the last half lap. I don't know why I could talk about mustaches, but not ask if Lexi could join us or if Yasmin could be Juliet. They were just different. Thankfully, everyone laughed. Well, everyone except Cassie. I like it, Yasmin said. Maybe Hamlet. He gets to do an awesome sword fight with poison-tipped swords. You could be the fairy king, Sailor said. No, Cassie said, Maddie can't be a boy in the play. I wanted to disagree. We learned that in Shakespeare's day, boys used to play the girls' parts, so it would be only fair if I could put on a mustache and play a boy's part. I think you should be Juliet's nurse, Cassie said. Then we could be together. The nurse? I didn't want to be the nurse. The nurse was a funny enough character in the real play, but she was only in one of the 2 Romeo and Juliet scenes we were doing, and she only had 2 or 3 lines, and they weren't even good. She just kept calling for Juliet to come inside and stop flirting. Of course, she said it in all Shakespeare style, like, Forsooth, Juliet, get thyself back inside thine house. Thou art boy crazy. Okay, maybe I made up that bit. Wait, what had Cassie said? Then we'd be together. Why would we be? My brain finally figured it out. Cassie wanted to be Juliet. Was that why she was recommending what everyone else should write down? Was she trying to make it more likely that she would get the part she wanted? No, she was probably just being helpful. Maybe the nurse would be okay, I said. Why did I say that? I didn't want to be the nurse. Then again, it would be fun to be in a scene with Cassie, with the way she moved and talked, always drawing everyone's attention. It would probably be the best scene of all of them. Cassie pulled her sparkly pink phone from her pocket. Not only was it cute, but it was one of the newest, fastest phones out there. The bell is about to ring. I guess she had checked the time. Let's run in and fill out our papers. I bet if we turn them in first, we get first choice. All the girls ran. Cassie was in the front, her hair bouncing as she moved. I ran too, but couldn't keep up. I was the slowest and the trippiest of probably everyone in my grade. Maybe I was so clumsy because my legs were growing. I think the teacher might have mentioned that in the awkward class. Or maybe I was really a centaur from some fantasy land, but I was cursed to stay in a human form because I was the princess centaur, destined to overthrow the maniacal wizard who had a face like a boar and who had taken over my world. Since I'd been in human form for so long, my legs were getting a little slow. Yep, centaur legs don't like being human legs for long. It was kind of like my left hand. I just hoped I could remove the curse soon, because if my clumsiness started to bother Cassie like my arm did, maybe I wouldn't get picked anymore, even with my mustaches. Then I might end up like Lexi again, alone during recess. I was the last of the girls to get into the classroom. Cassie and the others gathered by the inbox on Mrs. Bear's desk to turn in their preferences. I looked at my paper. I wanted to quickly write down Hamlet, Catherine, and Juliet, but that would mess things up. Can I see what you wrote? I heard Cassie ask Hannah before she dropped her paper in the box. Fairy Queen for all three, Hannah said, showing Cassie her paper. Cassie celebrated and gave Hannah a hug. Oh no, my insides rolled. Cassie was probably going to ask to see my paper too. I quickly scribbled down 3 names. 1, Juliet's a nurse, 2, Catherine, and 3, Hamlet. I didn't put Juliet's a nurse for all 3, but if I put it at number 1, I'd get it. I doubt anyone else was trying to get that part. I didn't even wait for Cassie to ask. I showed my paper to her as soon as I walked over to Mrs. Bear's desk. She beamed. I'm so excited, she said. It's going to be fantastic. She passed me as she went back to her seat. She had already dropped her paper of her top 3 choices in the box. I looked at my sheet again. It would be fun to be in a scene with Cassie, but... I wrinkled the corner of my paper and looked around the room. Lexi had finished her list and was walking back to her desk. She saw me and then looked to the floor. I glanced back at Cassie. She was happily talking with Devin and flipping her hair. I took out my pencil and erased part of my first answer. Now, it only said Juliet for my first choice. I didn't just imagine it. I really did it. And I turned it in. So, that is the end of that chapter, but I did want to introduce you to Charlie, like I promised. I've got to uncover him. He gets kind of grumpy, so we'll see what happens. Hi, Charlie. Come here. So this is Charlie, and he is 7 years old, and then Milo is 9. So I'm going to keep reading to you guys, and I hope that you're watching. Just remember to read 20 minutes a day if you can. And if you listen to me, then that can count as part of your reading. And I will see you tomorrow. See you later.